Good evening. My name is Lara Beaulieu, and I'm the Executive Director of English in Action. I am honored to be here with all of you tonight. Thank you for coming to celebrate the power of communication and storytelling. First off, I would like to recognize our extraordinary collaborators in this event, Alia Howe of Writ Large, and Taka. Please give them a round of applause. I would also like to thank our lead sponsors who have shown a deep commitment to ensuring that everyone in our region has opportunities to thrive. Obermeyer Wealth Partners and Sarah Clark and Mark Iola. Likewise, I would like to appreciate our partners, Alpine Bank, Aspen Daily News, Aspen Public Radio, Aspen Times, Holy Cross Energy, KDNK, La Tricolore, Roaring Fork Oral Surgery and Dental Implants, Timberline Bank, and Town of Basalt. And finally, I would love to appreciate our patrons and all of you who made donations to support English in Action when you reserved your tickets tonight and joined us this evening. So thank you very much. The mission of English in Action is to build stronger connections by helping people develop communication skills and by building cross-cultural relationships. We launched Immigrant Voices nearly 10 years ago because we believe in the power of stories to connect people. We felt that too often the stories of ordinary immigrant community members were hidden, while at the same time, the experience of immigration is central to the history of our country and of the world. This event demonstrates that there is no single immigrant story. These are human stories that are both unique and universal. Now, we are in a time in our country where we are at war and where we cannot ignore the deep trauma that is being experienced by many immigrants nationally and across the world. We believe more strongly than ever that we must connect. We must see each other as individuals with rich and full lives. Individuals who are thriving in the face of ordinary and extraordinary obstacles. Tonight, you will be privileged to hear from 5 brave individuals who will share a story of their choosing of their life. As in the past, several are adult learners of English and English in Action's programs, and several are from the community at large. So now it is my pleasure to introduce our curator for this evening, Alia Howe, herself an immigrant from England, who has coached each of our storytellers over the last several months, helping them to prepare for this moment.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you so much for coming out to support our community's stories. Our community doesn't hang together as a community if we don't listen to each other's stories. We're just a bunch of individuals going about our own individual dreams. But when we pause to listen to someone else's, our hearts expand, we can hold more. And thank you for showing up. Glossophobia is the name for the terror of public speaking, and it's very real. It's up there in the top 3, and I have had the privilege for many years of holding storytellers in our community and having the luxury of listening to their stories over and over, growing. And I can promise you that there's a few trembling souls out there for their first time coming on stage. And it's different from a presentation because they're sharing something true and close to their heart. It's very vulnerable. And because of that, I ask for some audience participation in sound making. And so I would like you to, first of all, practice by clapping loud and cheering. Let's hear it, everyone. Woo, 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 woo. Oh! Brilliant. And if you keep it going for a long time, you might hear the storyteller go. Because they're scared of losing track of where they were in their story. And then let's hear you groan because something just guts your intestines. Mm. And let's hear you click if you're in agreement with the statement. It's incredible to come up here and have people speak in their non-native tongue. I'm an immigrant from England, so the language is the same, even though culturally we can be quite different, as those of you who have English friends might know. I don't think I want to say anything else. I think I want to get this evening going because you're in for such a treat. All right. Our first storyteller, Klaus Kocher, is an award-winning photographer, photojournalist, and adjunct professor at the Isaacson School at Colorado Mountain College. His education background is as varied as his travels, which you'll hear more about in his story. He loves to teach photography, and when he's not in the darkroom, he's usually traveling the world with his camera in hand. Klaus has also been a volunteer tutor with English in Action since 2017. And like my daughter, he reveals how being taken by your parents from one country to another. There are even books written about this called Third Culture Kids who land in different schools and they have to learn a new language, they have to fit in, or they desire to fit in and to belong, and it causes quite a stress. So you're in for an intangible ride, sometimes hard to follow, as you travel with Klaus through the multiple countries that he's experienced. Please put your hands together and let's bring Klaus to the stage.
I was born in Santiago, Chile in 1961. When I was as a 6-week-old baby, my mom took us with my older brother to America, to New Jersey, where my dad was getting his PhD. So 3 years after that, we're back in Chile. So in Santiago, Chile, my parents met because they lived across the street from each other. On one side where we lived in a house right next to my Swiss grandparents. They were bakers, they pastries, so we were always there helping them eat. I don't think we were really helping them. And then they were very kid-friendly, so that was fun. But on Sundays, we went to our Presbyterian church thing. We all got dressed up, because you have to dress up. But we went across the street to my Spanish grandparents. So across the street, my grandfather was born in Galicia, so he's Gallego, and my grandmother was born in the Dominican Republic from French parents. And that's a very formal household where my grandfather spoke, we listened, and we sat at a long table, we learned table manners at 4 or 5 years old. You sit up, you ate correctly, manners, you knew how to use all those utensils and glasses. I think it was 5 when I started drinking wine. So my mom, she was also born in the Dominican Republic. She was 5'3", kind of short, dark hair, bright blue eyes. This used to be darker. And she loved to cook. She's traveled a lot. She's taught us how to cook. And she always had music going. Her hips were always just swinging. That was my mom. And to this day, that's what I do in my house, too. But she's one of those ladies that didn't come out of the bedroom until she had makeup on. And she always told us, ladies wear dresses, not pants. So then when we go back to the other side of the street, the Swiss part of the family, my dad, very academic, but very serious. He only listened to serious music, which meant classical music. It's all we heard with him in the house. But, and then he was of the thinking that kids are seen and not heard. And he taught us the value of education. So there in Chile, I was a little kid from kindergarten to second grade. It was in German because I went to the Swiss-speaking school. Even then, as a little kid, I knew we were different because we were going at home. We spoke languages most people didn't speak, and even my parents spoke this language between themselves, so we wouldn't understand. It was called English. So 3 years passed, and then the political unrest. This is '69, and Chile was getting ugly. And my maternal grandparents, the Spanish crowd, they went back to Spain and lived there for the rest of their lives. And then before we knew it, we were getting shots in our arms. I'd never liked that, but we jumped on a plane and we came to America again. But we went to Maine. My dad was a professor at the University of Maine in Orono. He was a plant doctor. And my mom bought us bicycles so we could learn English hanging out with American kids. And that was just during the summer. But you got to realize, by the time we got to Maine, and the last brother was born. There's four of us. We have, by name and order of birth, is Fritz, Klaus, Walter, and Hans. That's why I can't name my dogs that. So Fritz is the oldest. He knew everything, so I didn't speak. I was very shy, believe it or not, very emotional. Walter has bright blue eyes. He's a clown. And then Hans got away with murder. So then started second grade. I had to repeat second grade because I didn't know any English. And the teacher spoke German. I mean, the gods were lined up, so that was pretty cool. So 3 years happened. This was in 1972 now. And I think I've broken the code. If you go to medical clinics, you get shots, you're jumping on a plane. So guess what? Pan American Airlines, my dad got a job in Costa Rica with the World Bank as an agricultural consultant. But on the way down in Pan Am, we stopped in Guatemala. We were in a transit, but we were stopped. We were detained. Us three brothers, we had the wrong passports. We had Chilean passports at that time because the political stuff in Chile, that was a bad passport to have. It's kind of like having a Nigerian or Venezuelan or Palestinian passport right now. People don't like you. I mean, my parents were in the other room with my youngest brother, and somehow we got through that. So I ended up in Costa Rica. In Costa Rica, three things happened that changed my life. First of all, obviously we kept the English school so we could learn English. So we were there, and the science books didn't come in. So our science teacher knew about photography, so that's when we made pinhole cameras and learned how to process images. And that's when I saw the first picture come out of the developer. I was hooked. I was 12 years old. Most of you know me as a photographer. That's when it started. I was 12. I'm 64 now. And then the second thing was my older brother and I, he was 13, I was 12, in Costa Rica, we were expert drivers, even though we'd never driven a car before. So at 12 years old, my father was brave enough to put us to drive in the hilly streets of San Jose, Costa Rica, in a bright red VW bus manual stick. I never killed anyone yet. And the last one, the third thing that happened, this is 73 now, so once again, if you know a little bit of his history, that's when Pinochet came into power in Chile, and my paternal grandparents, the Swiss crowd, was still in Chile. They had to flee because it's getting really ugly there, so we were the closest family. So we lived with them for a little bit. And that's where my grandfather kind of said, well, I think there's a Swiss law that if you're a Swiss family, you become Swiss automatically. At 12 years old, that's when I became Swiss. We have a red passport, a white cross, things changed. And then, but even at 12, I started just thinking, oh, that would explain things in Chile. My grandfather's house, my aunt's house, and uncles, they all had little trinkets with red square flags with white crosses on them. I'm going, oh my God, everyone's Swiss. It was a aha moment. And that's why they spoke French. So, and then why do I have such a funny name, Klaus Koch? Because I'm Swiss. So that's what happened in Costa Rica. But since I've broken the code, we started going to clinics, getting shots. Oh my God, plane ride. We ended up in Honduras. My dad got a job at there's an agricultural school there called the Escuela Agrícola Panamericana. And so that's where we moved to. We loved it as little kids because I was 12, because we could drive that VW bus all over the jungle in this college thing. I also learned how to raise little bantam chickens and sell for money, because both of my grandparents, who survived both World War I and II, always said it's good to have extra money in your pockets. My mom hated it because she came from a wealthy Spanish family. Women don't wear high heels in mud, because that's all, we were in the jungle. And there was no nightlife. She hated it there. And there's only one bad part that we didn't like as kids, because we were Zamorano. At that time, Zamorano was 3 hours away from Tegucigalpa. So we had to jump in a public bus. That's not the problem. The problem is it's a public bus with flying chickens, but it was 3 hours of going like this in the morning. I mean, the roads are really wavy, so they put sawdust on the floor for people chunking. And then on the way back from school, another 3 hours, that's how we did it. So then, after about 2 years of that, his contract was over, and so and then the money's running out. But we still had the two oldest. My dad said, "Go to Miami Beach because you have an uncle there, so keep the English going." So guess what? Jump on the plane, and we're in Miami Beach. That was 8th grade for me, and I learned a lot of survival skills there. And then I don't remember getting shots, but within 6 months, we're only 6 months, we're off to Mexico City. So then, because my dad got a job with it's an international center where they improve corn and wheat for the whole world, called CEMET, Centro Internacional de Mejoramiento de Maíz y Trigo. And Dr. Borlo worked there. That's what did his research. Well, who's Dr. Borlo? In 1970, he won the Nobel Prize for making the first man-made cereal. You can blame him. But it saved lives, millions of lives in India. It's a cereal called triticale. It's a dwarf plant, so it grows really quick and is drought resistant. So that's where my father worked. But at the same time, we were going to school there, and that's an English-speaking school. And that's when I felt really at home. I was not a freak because most of my classmates were immigrants several times over again. It isn't like, wow, it's really cool. It was just the norm. Same as speaking 2-3 languages. That is the norm. So I felt at home there. I was not a freak. And then came time to graduation, and one of my classmates. So if you're a Spanish speaker and know Spanish TV, one of my classmates was Mario Moreno Jr. And that's Mario Moreno as in Cantinflas' son. So he spoke at our graduation. So he's like the Bob Hope of here in the U.S. He's a comedian, movie star person. Anyways, that's my claim to fame. So then where would Klaus go to university because my academic dad, you have to go to university, and I get that. So obviously I want to do photography. Well, that was not going to happen. My dad, science is the only way to go. Art out the window. So I ended up going. My major was picked. It was food technology, which I really did enjoy, but food technology at Iowa State. And going, what? Iowa State, because Dr. Barlow went to Iowa State and got his PhD. Makes sense. So once again, pack the bags, off to Iowa. After a year, the most important thing in my life happened. We were obviously in a guy's dorm, and we invited the women's dorm to come over for a 24-hour party. You can imagine. I can't confirm or deny anything. There was this blonde-haired, blue-eyed person. I cannot see her. She's here somewhere. There was this blonde-haired, blue-eyed person, a huge smile, could speak Spanish and loved travel. Oh, my God. She became my best friend and my better half. So fast forward 14 years. So fast forward 14 years. She's a physician, so it took a while. During those 14 years, I got my graduate degree in photography, and I made my first tax exemption. My son, Tristan. He could not make it today, I think. And then the first job Leanne had at a residency was in Germany. Guess what? Pack up the bags. We're off to very western Germany. We're 6 kilometers from Luxembourg, a small village called Beiersdorf, where I loved it because I got my German back. And then I became a Hausfrau. So the little, very traditional village, the ladies, they were so amazed that guy could cook, clean, take care of kids, iron, because they were told, their husbands told them, the men can't do that. So anyways, that's what happened. Then at the time too, and I think she's here, we made my second tax exemption my favorite daughter. So then we came back to Colorado, in more specifically Glenwood. Leanne was part owner of Women's Health Associates, and I stayed home with the kid. So in conclusion, having been an immigrant 5 or 6 times, who knows, visited 56 countries around the world, I've learned the most important thing is community. We need to help each other. Just like when I'm in City Market and hear someone in distress because they don't understand English, there's Klaus helping them. And it's the other reason why I enjoy teaching in English in Action. I'm one of those teachers because I know that scary feeling of not knowing. And people speak louder as if you can understand better. So I repeat, the most important thing for me is community. We have to take care of it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Klaus. Thank you, Klaus. Wow. Aren't these yummy? And you've just had the first one. So fine dining on stories. Our next storyteller, Gabby Sosa, is originally from Mexico. She is an avid reader and a lover of all animals, most importantly, her dogs back home in Mexico. Gabby works at Blue Lake Preschool and is deeply committed to English in Action. She serves on the Student Leadership Committee and diligently working each week to improve her English with the support of her tutor, Brenda Stockdale. Thank you, Brenda. I don't know if you're here. These tutors are amazing. I get to know them vicariously through their students and just to feel that teamwork, and we'll talk more about getting you all to sign up as being tutors at the end of the evening. But let's put our hands together and welcome Gabby to the stage.
Thank you. I am 6 years old. Do you believe me? Yes, I am 6 years old. You heard that right. I have been lucky enough to be born twice. Birth number one was on November 11, 1994. Birth number two was on August 9th, 2019, when my cousin Lily gave me the best gift I could receive, her kidney. Lily, thank you. Lily, you are amazing. You saved my life. Thank you. Yeah. I experienced so many emotions before, during, and after my surgery. Changed my life. For example, I am here today. And more than anything, I'm alive. Thank you. I remember Gabby crying before the surgery, crying in bed, in shower, biting her pillow, scared of dying. That moments I felt sadness, desperations, and new insecurities, physical and emotional changes. I wish I could hug her when Gabby was so sick and said, "Everything will be okay, Gabby. I'm here with you." My transplant was successful and giving me the second chance to start again. I also start again when I moved to this country in 2022. My dad Martin made that possible. Thank you, Papa, for everything. I love you. That moment was a big shock because this place is very different when I grew up. I left everything and everyone in Guadalajara. My job, my friends, my family, and my pets. Hachi, mi amor. Wilson, mi bebé. Crazy Hercules, and Güero, who left this world last year. Other thing that was a shock was the language, because I can understand anything. And I remember my first conversations was a little funny, because if the other person laughed, I laughed too. Or their face looked surprised, I surprised too. And that happened many times. When I was in college in Guadalajara, I took French classes. That moment, I have no idea. One day I moved to this country. And now I'm thinking, I should have taken an English course, not French. This is a big challenge for me, because in the past, I was the opposite person who I am today. When I was in the school, I didn't like to participate in anything. When I was shopping, even asking the price for me was a terrible moment, because my stomach hurt, my hands sweat, like now. But wow, now, today, I'm here in front of the audience, speaking a second language. Thank you. Thank you. And sometimes I can't stop talking. Wow, I changed a lot, really. Tonight, I share with you some things that changed my life plans. But also I know, thanks to my new kidney, I'm healthy, I live in my second best life. And I can say again, I am 6 years old. Thank you. Before I leave, I want to say also happy birthday, hermanito, who is watching me in Mexico from Zoom. Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you.
She's bouncing off the walls back there. Wow. I mean, what an inspiration about starting over and facing things that you are habitually scared of and doing it anyway. Thank you, Gabby, for your inspiration. Our next storyteller, Carl. He's originally from Bali, or they're originally from Bali, Indonesia, and calls Colorado home. Carl joined English in Action in 2025 and has been meeting regularly with their tutor, Elizabeth. Thank you, Elizabeth. Carl is a hospitality worker, cafe barista who finds joy in experiences that build connections. With their story, Carl hopes to inspire others to welcome change, stay curious, and find happiness in the journey of becoming their unique selves. Let's put our hands together to welcome Carl.
All right. When I moved here, people often ask me, "What are you pronouns?" And I was like, "Huh? What is that?" Because back in Indonesia, where I come from, mostly nobody asked me that question. You know what? They just judge how I look because I look different. I mean, not everyone does, some people does. But I feel like I look great, right? Yeah, but I appreciate that people wants to be respectful. Sometimes I don't even know the answer myself because I don't want any labels. So now just say, call me by my name. It's Carl with the K. Simple, right? No pronouns, no labels. Just simple. Yeah. I moved here from Bali, Indonesia, far away. Back there, it's only hot and humid. Hot, then rain, repeat. That's it. But here in Basalt, Colorado, Colorado has 4 seasons. 1, 2, 3, 4, that's in my language. Yeah, 4 seasons. And when it comes to the winter, oh boy, winter is cold and dry. I remember when I was in Bali, my skin was always wet. I really love ice cream, especially gelato ice cream. When I bought that and I went outside for a little, and it's melted. But here, my skin is dry, and I feel like I'm turning into a cracker. Yeah. Even during the summertime, I try to exercise. You know, I was hiking, running outside, but I feel like no exercise ever happened because I got no sweat. I tried my best. And when people ask me, "Carl, why you leave the beach for the snow?" Sometimes when I got freezing, I ask myself the same thing. Yeah, I did my internship in Colorado back in 2023, only for a year, unfortunately. Then I had to come back to Bali to finish my degree. I just wanted to be a good kid for my family. And a year later, I graduated. But I wasn't happy. I knew I had to come back to Colorado to be myself again. And last year, I made it. And now, finally, I'm here again. Yeah, telling in my story in the front of you here. But here is the funny part, you know. I had to enroll in school again just to be here. No higher study, same level, same brain. Basically, I come to Colorado, not for the education, but I came for the location. And the biggest moment for me, it wasn't my graduation. Also, it wasn't my degree, but it was the DMV. Yeah, the DMV in Glenwood, driving motor vehicle office. You know why? Because I really love driving, not drifting, okay? Just driving around, going places. I'm young and wild. Yeah. And what surprised me at the DMV, uh, I could put an X on my driver license, which is, it's very rare in the other countries. In Indonesia, when it comes to the paperwork, you only have two options. It's only female and male. That's it, no bonus option. Non-binary like me. Yeah. And also, my paperwork says here I'm a non-resident alien, non-citizen, and I was like, alien? I don't look green. Why? Yeah, I really love driving. Here in the United States, it's very car-centric country, but I love it. Because back in Bali, I barely even drive, not because I don't know how to. Even now, I feel like I'm a better driver because I know how to drive in the snow. But it's because, the traffic is terrible. But when I saw that X on my driver license, it felt better than my degree, to be honest. And it was a piece of paper, look at me and say, we see you, car, you are real. And when I look at myself now on the mirror, I see somebody who is free. Of course, I still learn how to drive in the snow. I'm still very freezing in Colorado. But for the first time in my life, I am happy. I feel like, yeah, I can do whatever I want. And what I want is just simple, I just want to be exactly who I am. Thank you so much.
So, as we're just having the microphone cleaned and sorted out, I'm curious, is it possible to turn the house lights up just for a moment and just to see how many storytellers are here in the who have shared I know Paco because you came up and wished us all good luck, but how many people have shared their stories here? 1, 2, 3. Would you stand up? Gosh, I just haven't seen you all enough. After that intense time of being together, sharing your story, we go poof off into our lives. Thank you for coming tonight and for sharing your voices. Yes. Welcome to the front row. In the hot seats to make lots of noise. We have 2 more storytellers left. Mei Ying Li is originally from China. She's an enthusiastic lifelong learner and a proud US citizen. Mei Ying works at Alpine Bank where she serves as a vice president. She has a loving and supportive family, and Mei Ying is really excited to begin a new chapter in her life this summer, welcoming her first granddaughter into their family. Put your hands together, please, for Mei Ying Li.
In the early 1990s, my life changed forever. I got married to my husband there. And became a mother and moved from Taishan, China, a city near Hong Kong, to the famous ski town, Aspen. Along with my 3-month-old daughter, to join my husband, Danny, who have lived in Aspen for nearly 16 years. When I first came to the United States, I spoke almost no English. The unfamiliar environments, language, and the way of life make me deeply miss the life I have lived in China. Often I stay quiet, not because I don't have idea, but because I didn't yet have the words. Not easy, right? For a long times, I felt helpless. My emotions were complex and heavy. I often thought about the confident person I used to be, able to express myself freely, go anywhere on my own, and rely on no one. And now, I couldn't even fill out a simple form without help or go out for walks because I was afraid to get lost and not able to find my way home. In Aspen, can you believe it? Wow. Well, starting over was truly difficult. Learning a new language didn't happen overnight. After wiping away my tears, I told myself I was still young and I could begin again. When I reflect on my learning journey, everyone around me became my English teacher. Actually, a lot of them, they are my coworkers, supervisors, customers, neighbors, friends, and family. One of the most important truths on my learning journey was the English dictionary my sister-in-law bought me. Back then, learning the language was nothing like it is today. There's no smartphone to translate complicated sentences in seconds. So, you have to, every word have to look up letter by letter. Translating a few pages of documents can take me hours, even days. I felt frustrated and tempted to give up many times. But guess what? I never stopped. I kept going, kept learning, kept adapting. I kept taking the next step. I knew clearly every step forward was a crucial moment on the road to success. And each step forward brought me closer to my goal, to able to communicate with others, to understand and be understood. Soon after I arrived, I worked at a family business where everyone spoke Cantonese. Pretty easy. I knew what I'm doing, right? And then, a few years later, I threw myself into the job that required me to speak English all day long at the daycare center. What I was thinking, thank goodness they were babies. And then a few years later, I began my career at Alpine Bank. Every step was filled with challenges. For many people, they were just jobs. For me, each one was a new test. I not only need to learn how to do the job, but also translate unfamiliar professional language knowledge into Chinese so I can truly understand and absorb it. My earliest misunderstanding of the language also led to quite a few funny moments. One of the most memorable moments that happens during the Secret Santa exchange. At the daycare center where I work, I thought was simply about swapping gifts. So when I drew the name of the basket, I immediately told the person, I got you! I didn't realize I just ruined her surprise. That's my first time participating in Secret Santa exchange. Because of my language barrier, there were also times I didn't understand the full scope of things, like my daughter's outdoor education program at school and the equipment that required. So to these days, I still feel guilty about the pain I unknowingly put it through my daughter. On her first hiking trip, because I did not know how to prepare the right equipment, I sent her with the regular cotton socks instead of the wool hiking socks. So she come home with blisters on her feet. In addition, that's not off. I bought her a backpack that was way too big and thinking she will grow into it. So later she told me she felt like a walking backpack. Because people from the back can only see a huge backpack and two little legs. Oh my gosh, okay. Because I did not know how to prepare the right equipment, I simply did the best I could. Luckily, because of that experience, my younger son's outdoor experience were much more enjoyable. This was not favoritism. It was learning from experience. Looking back on this journey was anything but smooth. Learning takes patience, adapting takes courage, and dreams take time. Thank you. If anyone would ask me what my secret to learning is, I would say this. Never be afraid to ask questions. Mary Ryerson, are you there? Olinda, I knew you were there too. And never pretend to understand when you don't. Right, Ian? And always challenge yourself. Margot, right? I know everyone's there. Yeah, thanks for everyone for that one. For this mindset, I'm deeply grateful to my grandmother, who never went to school for a single day, but yet, through self-study and by asking questions whenever she did not understand, she taught herself how to read and write. From an early age, she taught us that knowledge is something no one could ever take away from you. And learning should last a lifetime. And she firmly believed that in any group of 3 people, one will always be my teacher. And she encouraged us to improve ourselves through daily learning. 30 years later, I thought I have adapted well to the life in the Roaring Fork Valley. I have truly immersed myself into cultural, athletics, and volunteer community. At Alpine Bank, I have advanced from being a bank teller, becoming a vice president. Thank you. Who mentors and lead people. One moment that left a deep impression on me was a friend who said to me a few years ago, "Back then, I taught you how to write a check. And now you help me with my banking needs." So, So just saying that you all can come see me too, I can help you with your banking needs. I want you to know how grateful I am for every step, even the difficult ones. I am truly thankful to everyone who supported and walked alongside me on my journey of growth. Without you, I would not be who I am today. So many people there. Thank you. Because I once received help from others, I now give back to the community through volunteer work. I understand every small act of kindness, no matter how insignificant it may seem, can quietly change a person's life. Just as all these kindnesses have changed mine.
Oh, this is so fun. I actually get very nervous for everybody. And it's like being a mom and launching your babes. I mean, they're just incredible. Our last storyteller tonight is Samuel Bernal, who was born and raised in Mexico City. He has been a longtime member of the English in Action community and served since 2017 on their board of directors and advisory council. Samuel currently serves as VP of Integrated Marketing Solutions for Entrevision, the parent company of Radio La Tricolore, which is why some of you may recognize his voice. Samuel's greatest reward in life is to be of service to his family, his friends, and the community. Let's put our hands together to welcome Samuel Bernal to the stage.
Thank you. I love immigrant stories. It's my honor to be here for the third time. I am from Mexico. I have a wife, 2 kids, 2 dogs, and 1 cat. And the cat is also an immigrant. It's a Persian cat, but it's also a Mexican cat. Now it's also an American cat. It's an Americat. On behalf of the cat, I want to clarify that the cat did not want to move to the United States. When she saw my wife packing the suitcases, she became very aggressive. One night, she woke up my wife at 3 a.m. in the morning. She was sitting right above the headboard, and it was terrifying. She was clearly protesting immigration policy. But my wife is the expert in understanding cats, and she said that actually the cat was protesting because she did not want to be left in Mexico. But anyway, we handled her immigration paperwork, and honestly, it was not that hard. My wife thinks it was easier because the cat is white with blue eyes. I don't know. I don't know if that's true, but it does make you think. My wife was very happy that the cat was living with us, but one day, the cat went missing. She left the house. And I told my wife it was okay if she wanted to leave, maybe she wanted to be free. After all, we are in the land of the free. We used to, right? But my wife did not agree with that philosophy. So she called all the local radio stations, and she was hanging flyers all around the town. She even created a Facebook page for lost pets in Newcastle. And she called also all the local police departments. Now, years later, I have a friend who is my best friend, who is a policeman, and told me that police hated when someone reports a lost cat. They secretly hate it because cats do not get lost. They just, go out for adventures. They are free spirit animals. My wife, however, was heartbroken. She will stand at the window, crying, hoping for the cat to come back. And after 3 days of the cat missing, one night she said, "I'm going to find her." And she left the house in the middle of the night in the car, and guess what? She came back with the cat. So, never underestimate a woman searching for her pet. Thank you. The cat now wears an air tag, and according to my daughter, the cat is officially under house arrest. There are two things. Well, first of all, thank you for laughing at my dad jokes. I think a storyteller is also a dad whose jokes nobody laughs at home. So when someone invites him to tell a story on the stage, he's the first one to raise his hand. Maybe that's why this is my third time being here on the Immigrant Stories. So I love that you are listening to me. Two things I love the most is one, my family, and I cherish every single day I am with them, and it's like a miracle for me. And the other thing I love is my job. I work in radio, and when you work in radio, the main job is not actually to be talking like La Tricolor 107.1 puros trancazos. No. Thank you. The main job is to listen to the people, dreams, questions, fears, all kind of things. And I am blessed to be the ear and sometimes the voice of many immigrants that carry stories too heavy to carry alone. Oh, thank you. Tonight, I want to dedicate the story to those who do not have a voice in English, to those who do not have a microphone, and to those who do not have a stage. I want to share a story. I am a mother from the Roaring Fork Valley. I was detained by immigration. My big crime, my big sin was to come to a country that needs me as much as I need the country. To try to create a better family, a better future for my family and for me. I have a husband and 2 kids. They are citizens. I was in the process, but one morning, I was driving the I-70. A car that looks like a police officer pulls me over. I get nervous, but I pull over. Then I realize it's not a traffic police, it's immigration. They pretended to be traffic police to stop me, even though that's illegal, talking about illegal. I am detained, I'm arrested, I am taken to a detention center in Aurora. I'm not allowed to call immediately my family. Who will pick up my kids? Who will let them know I'm here? What story they will be told about why I was arrested? A few days after being in the detention center in Aurora, I learned that I'm pregnant. The news should fill me with joy, but instead, it fills me with fear. The facilities are cold. The treatment is harsh. The rooms feel like punishment. There are other pregnant women, but nobody seems to care. I meet another woman who is 7 months pregnant. Her special diet for pregnancy is 2 slices of bread, 2 packets of jam, and one packet of peanut butter for all day. That's her special diet. There are other women in that center. There are women over 70 years old. They are in pain, they are sick, and they are ignored. I have 3 miscarriages scares. 3 times I beg for help. 3 times I bleed. Authorities do not seem to care. But the third time, they finally take me to a hospital. They check that the baby still has a heartbeat, and then they send me back. They don't allow the doctors to examine me to see what is going on or if I could lose the baby. The only thing that matters is that the baby is still alive. I am afraid to say my name. I am afraid that if I speak too loudly, something will happen to me. So I tell my story quietly. I tell my story to someone who might listen. I want to ask that someone, anyone, go to that center. Even a priest, even a volunteer, someone who might look those women in the eye and remind them that they are human. There are people who have been in that center for more than a year. 1 year without knowing when they will be left, if everything will be fair or not. 1 year without knowing about your kids. 1 year sleeping under fluorescent light. This is what that woman told me. Thank you for listening to her story. She was left. She was on a bond. She was able to be free on a bond, but she didn't ask me to celebrate her freedom. She asked me to beg for help for people who are still in those detention centers. Stories don't change the world overnight, but they change the way we see each other. And when we can see each other clearly, then change becomes possible. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Samuel. And before I bring the storytellers on for their final bow, I just want you to pause for a moment and feel the quality of your hearts. The storytelling has the ability to touch us so deeply. It's the most precious and intimate gift that people in our community can give to one another. So please talk to one another. Ask them really how they are doing. Take moments to speak to a stranger and invite someone surprising for a cup of coffee so that we can continue valuing the stories and drawing them out. Thank you so much for your giant listening hearts. It has been a magnificent house. Now I'm going to ask you to stand up as we welcome our storytellers back onto the stage with the biggest round of applause ever. Samuel, thank you. Klaus, thank you. Gabby, thank you. Oh, Carl, thank you. And Mei Ying, thank you. We've laughed. I think we've cried a lot. And your courage, storytellers, thank you for your precious gifts of your stories. Let's take a bow. Whoop, whoop. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So as we bring this evening to a close, Lara and everyone at Immigrant English in Action wants to thank you for joining us and hopes to see you at their summer benefit on June 17th at Buttermilk Mountain Inn. And of course, they would love to have you join us, for a future tutor orientation training for those of you who are interested in getting more involved. There is a table out there for you to go and sign up. Please participate. Let's get to know more of their stories. Have a wonderful evening, and thank you for coming out.